It's only a month away from now. So speaking of what I said earlier on about Germans were shaken with regards to Euro 2012, let's ask a German who is not shaken today. Good morning, Matthias.
Hello.
Good morning. Good morning.
What do you have to say about this? I know you've been updating a lot of football highlights on your Facebook page now.
Yes. Actually, I'm going to be on the radio tonight as well, talking about football, but I personally was not shaken, but the German team, I agree, they were shaken. They were not as impressive I was expecting, and everybody was expecting them to be. I was actually proposing on Facebook, get some of the Bayern players out, like Müller was not really performing,
Schweinsteiger. Not going to be happy with that.
Yeah, he's a Munich fan, but when we watched the Champions League final in his residence, he was a very neutral gentleman. He congratulated all the British guys that were there for the Chelsea Champions League win. So I propose
substitution.
Schweinsteiger out, then Müller out, and Podolski. Podolski was very disappointing. And in Marco Reus, Götze, and Gundogan. Two players that play for Dortmund. They were especially Reus. He has just joined Dortmund. He was Borussia Mönchengladbach. He had an excellent season. He needs to be in. So hopefully the German team will be less shaken with those substitutions. But I'm not sure whether the manager will listen to me.
Still one of the most popular teams though. Alrighty, from football we're talking about, of course, you know what we're going to be sharing today. It's okay. Hijau, well, you know, all in green today. We're talking about LOHAS, and of course you came back from Kuching a couple of days ago. What happened there?
Kuching, the government has agency Inovasi, which organized a two-day exhibition there about innovations. And I was there with some green innovations for obvious reasons, right? I want to really let people know what is out there, because that's one of the things that I experience all the time. People are saying, hey, I don't know what green solutions are there. So we were exhibiting some green ideas, green concepts, green solutions, and I was witnessing the MOU signing of, you might remember we once had this aerated concrete blocks here, Glocks, in the show a couple of months ago. A guy called Harish, he is the MD of a company, H3 Frio, and they signed a MOU with a local company in Kuching. They will set up a plant there to manufacture those eco-friendly aerated concrete blocks, which basically, when you use them, you don't need aircon.
Wow.
That is the main thing, and it comes at no extra cost. So the more people actually build their houses with those kind of solutions, the less electricity we actually need to waste in our homes.
It's going to come in handy, especially now, during this, summer. Malaysia
so
summer. Every day and so hot.
And when you come home, right?
Sounds wonderful.
Hot too, right?
I don't mean it that way, but even though it's true.
All right, so are they going to adapt the technology on a full-blown scale?
Yeah, they're gonna basically manufacture it in Kuching, as it is being done currently. There's a factory in Butterworth, and there are projects all over the northern region, including high-rise, including hotels, birds' nests even. I mean, that was the amazing thing that struck me. You know, we are using it more for birds' nests instead of humans, where it really makes a difference by cooling the building down. And the other thing is, the more houses we build now in the conventional way, the more power plants we are going to need. If we, especially low-cost housing, I see low-cost houses in Malaysia, they're so hot, they're like sweatshops. And people who live in there don't have the money to run aircon all of the time. So it's not really that convenient.
If we're talking about cooling, he knows I'm about to interject him right there. If we're talking about a cooling system, how cold can it be? How can it really take over the normal functions of an air conditioning system?
You obviously don't get your temperature down to 22 or 20, but a very comfortable temperature, and that was recommended by the Prime Minister, is 24 degrees. That is what government buildings should be targeting. But I think when you're between 24, 26, you have a little bit of wind movement, i.e. you have your fan running, and we discussed that as well in a previous show. A fan consumes, my fan at home consumes 16 watt, which is a very low electricity consumption. This green computer here is between 10 to 20 watt, whereas a normal desktop will be 100 watt. Whereas if you use an aircon system, you are gonna have 750 watt consumption. So the difference is huge. You will not get it down to 22, but you're going to get it down to a very comfortable climate. When I visited that high-rise building in Butterworth that was made with these aerated concrete blocks, it was very comfortable in there. I spoke with the people who were living in there, and they actually told me, hey, our electricity bill is quite low, 70 ringgit a month, even though we are a family with 2 kids, because we don't need the aircon. Whereas they had another condo in Penang, they told me as soon as they enter the room in Penang, in their condo, they switch on the aircon. Whereas in this building, they feel comfortable enough because the heat gets prevented to be stored in the walls. That's what normally happens in the concrete walls. It gets released in the night while it's cold outside. It's still hot inside. This one has air inside, so it prevents the heat from coming in. But I did some other exciting things. I spoke at the Mutiara International School, and I had 200 kids there. And they were all gung-ho to listen to green and to become green champions and to make green contributions. And actually some of them already joined my recycling campaign last week. You were here, Saliha. The apartment recycling campaign. And some of those students, they want help actually. So that was really exciting. Some of them live in condos and they want to make a contribution. So it's the young generation that actually is chipping in.
And speaking of that, how many apartments have signed up so far?
So far, only 10.
Only 10? Getting there?
And
what's the number that you're looking at for
100.
this year?
100.
That's not so. We have about 6 months left.
And so far, I think none of our viewers have signed up to get their condo in shape. So viewers out there, please step up. Hot on 2 guys out there. If you're living in a condo, if you want to make an environmental contribution, we have the system for you. We want you to be the champion.
I have some spot checks to do later on at a couple of condos. Whenever it comes to talking about lifestyle of health and sustainability, people would think that recycling will have to forego something, or you sacrifice something, or downgrading or something. How do you change that perception?
I always tell people that lifestyle of health and sustainability, LOHAS, is all about less is more, and you focus on buying the good things, the healthy things, the things that are good for you and for your family and for the planet. It doesn't mean you need to hide somewhere in a kampong, hug trees, and you're not allowed to travel anymore, you're not allowed to move with a modern lifestyle. You can have a modern lifestyle, but instead of having 200 clothes in your cupboard that you never need, you buy some good eco-friendly things, you focus on a small range of shoes that might not be costing you that much money, so you actually save a lot by adopting this less is more philosophy, and you are targeting the things that have been produced with eco-friendliness in mind. Remember one time we had on the show the guys from the innerwear company Nucleus, and I'm wearing one of their products today, and basically it's organic cotton.
Thank you for the information.
And instead of buying the stuff that might have been using loads of chemicals to be produced, and you might even have chemicals on your body, sometimes you have clothing that says wash before use, right? Isn't that a little bit making you wonder, why should you have to wash this before you use it first time? Because there might still be residues of chemicals on there that are not good for your health, that are not good for your skin. So the LOHAS philosophy helps us to live healthier, helps our family to live healthier, and it helps us to avoid the costs of modern society. Often we have health costs by treating diseases. We have got the cost as society of cleaning up our contaminated resources. Think about the water. The cost of cleaning up the water in Malaysia is very huge, even though we pay a small price. So taxpayers' money, the latest one, I think the cost of the water pipe from Pahang to Selangor, plus the setup, the cleaning setup, is estimated at 8 billion ringgit. That's the true cost of tackling environmental challenges. So prevention is much more cost effective in the long term than contaminating and then having to clean up.
The money could have been channeled elsewhere for development projects or schools and roads and buildings and things like that. But with the 200 pair of shoes and the clothes, we need some aerated blocks in here because it's kind of hot out of a sudden.
We wanted to add.
But at least you have collected
starting
your,
somewhere. even though even though you got a little uncomfortable during the clothes and the shoes talk, but you're starting somewhere.
I could sense a little bit, you know, both ladies were getting a little bit, you know,
moving. I don't have that many shoes. I don't have that many shoes, but I understand what Zaha is talking about. Like some people might say that if you want to live green, you have to, you know, live without an air conditioning system, and you have to, you know, sacrifice some facets of your life. And some people might think I could never live that way.
People in the developed countries,
in this whole where every day is summer in Malaysia.
No, I would say if we design our houses better, passive design, and using things like insulation, those aerated blocks, usually people stay away from insulation because they think it costs a lot of extra money. This one doesn't cost any extra money. The cost of using those blocks is the same, or in some cases even lower than a conventional building, depending on the size of the building, because you're reducing the weight of the building. If you do a high-rise, you need less steel bars, less concrete, because you have 30% weight reduction. So you can have certain savings with this kind of technology.
But what about structure? If, well, you know, not much of a physics expert here, but if, you know, air can actually get through it, wouldn't that somehow compromise the structure of the material?
The air doesn't really go through in any major way. It is a breathable wall, which is very good for preventing condensation, which sometimes, you know, is a problem because you get mold coming into your building because of funny water movement. This as well actually is prevented by this material, but it's not a structural material. It's not a load-bearing material. Your structure stays on the, you know, piles and pillars on the corners that have been strengthened with the steel bars. They carry the load of the building. But this is an enclosed wall like any other wall. The air is actually captured inside. So basically, it's not like there is air going through. The air is captured inside of the cement blocks, and it even uses some fly ash to replace some of the cement and some of the aggregates. So there's a recycling in the production, and the air is the insulator, because heat doesn't travel through air, virtually not. That's why in Europe we use those double glazed windows to avoid the cold from coming in or the heat from going outside, because air is a perfect insulator. So this air prevents the heat movement inside of your room.
Any particular buildings in KL that, you know, uses this kind of material? Well, that's one in Batuah, but what about here in KL?
In KL, it's only just starting. I mean, and on the other hand, lightweight concrete has been around for a long time, but some people have been a little bit cautious because there was some cracking issues. The reason why Glock is working with this technology from Butterworth is because the guy has got many projects, including government projects, schools, and there have not been any cracking issues at all in any of his projects. So that specific technology is mainly being used in the north. I visited some schools in Kulim as well that have used it. So there are some small projects here in KL, but I can't exactly remember where. But I guess there'll be more.
More buildings being rated as GPIs, which is actually a good thing. What are you going to be doing this coming week before we let you go this morning?
This coming week, I want to mobilize more people for the condo recycling system, because that one really, I need more volunteers to step up. I mean, it's a non-for-profit initiative. Just the cleaners are hopefully going to make some more makan money. And as always, I want to really spread this notion of lifestyle of health and sustainability. You can make a difference by what you buy. You are actually a consumer. I am a consumer. If you ever wanted to change this planet, help this planet, buy green, buy healthy, then we can change the economy from within. That is actually the most powerful way and the most easiest way of doing it. Because when you're shopping out there, bring your reusable shopping bag. I've got here my recycled backpack.
It's made of?
It's made of old
coffee packs.
It's actually from an Indonesian kampung. It only cost me 70 ringgit. It's lasted already 5 months. It's waterproof. So there are all sorts of little small green things.
And it helps out the people in the village, making some extra money.
Those coffee packs are probably me in about a month and a half.
Yeah.
You can get a bag.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget the Eco Warriors We're needing volunteers for the condo recycling station. Look them up on Facebook. And after this, amazingly enough, we're going to be talking about how our lifestyle affects the environment.
Exactly. It interconnects today.
I see some confession coming out. Stay with us.
Don't go anywhere.
This is a regular internet.